Welcome back to KTN Life and Style. This is all about relationships every single Wednesday. And right now we'll delve more into forgiveness. And I have Pastor Chris in studio for that. Later on, we'll be asking Pastor Chris all sorts of questions. So send them on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, SMSs. Let us know, what is that one question that you have for Pastor Chris? Right now, though, over to you, Pastor Chris.
Thank you, Mwikali. In this segment of Nisamehe, we talk to people who have gone through pain, people who have suffered adversity, people who have been hurt, wounded, violated, victimized, people who have gone through a lot of atrocity. And we want to get them to the place where they can forgive. Forgiveness is not the easiest thing for anybody to do, especially when they feel justified to be angry. Today, my guest on the show is Elizabeth Atieno. Welcome, Elizabeth.
Thank you, Pastor Chris.
You have a story. It's amazing. You were gang raped.
Yeah.
And you conceived through the rape.
Yeah.
Would you tell us about that?
It was like, let me say, like 9 years ago. In 2007, I was just 16. And on 31st December of 2007, when the elections were announced.
Right.
And then I was going home to my stepmom. Then all of a sudden I met with a gang of men and I was beaten up. Then I lost my conscience. And then when I woke up the following morning, I realized that I was gang raped. And later on, I then realized that I had conceived through the rape.
You were just 16.
Yeah.
How did you, when you woke up the next day, you're this young little girl who was on her way. Was this a public place? Was it by the road?
Okay, it was just, it was across the bridge because I was coming from Riverside. There is a bridge that unites the Riverside and Kariobangi North.
That was in Nairobi.
That one, it was just in Nairobi.
Okay.
Yeah, by then it was Kasarani constituency.
All right.
I was coming from Riverside, and then I was coming to Kariobangi North. Then the election were announced when I was on my way, but it was like there were people somewhere who were very ready to make everything bad for everyone. Then I met this man. Then after that, in the following morning, I realized that I was in so much pain, and I had bled a lot. And sometimes I really don't want to think about it, but that is what happened. But later on, I realized that I had conceived through the rape, and this one really brought. It was the genesis. Actually, it was the beginning of a very bitter life inside me.
How long after? Because you're waking up the next day and you come to the awareness that you have been raped.
Yeah.
Before you even get to the place of knowing that you have conceived,
Yeah.
what was your first emotion the next morning?
I was trying to wake up to reality.
You were in denial.
Yeah, I was in denial, and I was like, this one is not happening. This one is not happening. You know, I tried to wake up so many times, but I came to realize that now this one was what was happening. This one was very real. This one was very real. Yeah.
You didn't have any consciousness at the point where you were being violated?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't. But...
so you just woke up to it the next day?
Yeah.
And then how long after that did you realize that you had conceived?
Let me say how many? 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Yeah.
So
because I was very sick. I was very sick.
You were very sick.
Yeah.
So then now you went into a season of bitterness.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Okay, you know, after all this, realizing that I was pregnant, I moved away from home, and I ended up in Mathare slums. Actually, when I went to Mathare, my family didn't know my whereabouts. So I did cut contact with my family, and I decided to stay a life of my own. I just wanted to find a life for myself. But there was so much going on inside me. There was so much bitterness inside me. But I didn't realize that. But I came to realize this after giving birth to the baby. That one is where everything came hitting at me.
Right.
You know?
You have conceived out of a very difficult situation.
Yes.
And your family has the pressure on you, and you still decide to keep that.
Yeah.
You still had strength at that point to make a decision like you're going to keep the baby.
Yeah, because Pastor Chris, you must realize that people are created differently. The values of your heart are not the values of my heart. Your conscience is not my conscience. There is something that my conscience can let me to do, but there is something that you, Pastor Chris, your conscience cannot let you do it.
Right.
I mean, there are people around here. What do you think that goes on in the mind of people who go around killing people, slaughtering people, maiming people? And what do you think of those people who are willing to go out of their way to make sure that someone has food on their table, to make sure that someone has got something to put on, or to make sure someone somewhere is having an education? So this one is very definite that the values of the heart are different. And that is why at that age, I was able to keep this baby.
How has been your journey with your baby?
I must say it has been a rough road. But Pastor Chris, I must say that I think what happened to me, I was taken, okay. I came to learn that not everything bad that happens to people, it is meant for your downfall. Or not everything that happens to people, it is meant to ruin you. Some things, so many bad things that happen to us, sometimes we have to learn that they are there to mold us, to make us bigger, better people.
How do you relate with a child when you see the child? You see, this child is a product of a very difficult situation.
Yeah.
And at the point that you realized you had conceived, the bitterness was coming out. Did you find yourself playing out that bitterness on the baby?
Very many times, because I really have to be frank.
Right.
And so many times when I talk about this, it gets off my chest more and more. You know, I used to take out my anger through my daughter. You know, so many times I look at her, especially when I'm frustrated with life and I'm disappointed, I feel like strangling her to death. And I feel like, you know, she's the reason as to have gone through all of this. But with time, Pastor Chris, I came to realize it was not her fault. Because I realized when I was doing all of this, I was in denial, and I was not ready to put up the pieces of my life together and say, oh, I'm done with this crap and I'm ready to get moving on with life.
Did you blame yourself for what happened to you?
Never in
not.
life I've ever blamed myself. And actually, nowadays, I don't even blame Brooklyn. And sometimes...
Is that her name?
Yeah.
That's your daughter's name?
Yeah, she's called Brooklyn.
You still found a good name in the midst of all the tough times.
Yeah, I had a reason for that. I had a reason for every name that I gave my daughter. I had a reason to give her. And sometimes...
What does Brooklyn signify?
Brooklyn is a brook of water. It's like a source of water. And I called her Brooklyn because I love Brooklyn in New York.
Okay.
And, you know, back in the damn days, I really like, I like hip-hop. And Brooklyn is the home of hip-hop. And Brooklyn also has a story. But all in all, I came to realize that sometimes I don't even blame the people who do this to me. Because I normally sit down and tell myself that there was someone who was in charge of all of this. The people who gang raped me were definitely under someone. And I normally sometimes blame it to bad leadership and the self-centeredness of our politicians. But that one is the story for another day.
Let me come back to the issue of your baby.
Yeah.
So here you are, because I can tell a struggle.
Yeah.
The struggle is that on the one hand, you have this bitterness.
Yeah.
On the other hand, you were still talking about your baby, giving a name like Brooklyn. So thinking about, you know, you're thinking positive, you're thinking hope. And so you have a mixture of these emotions.
Yeah.
How has that affected the development of your daughter?
Actually, you know, when I gave birth to Brooklyn, let me start from there. That is where the name came from. When I gave birth to Brooklyn at the Mother North Hospital on 30th August 2008, after thinking, after giving it thought so many times, I decided that I'm not going to abort this baby. But the day I'll give birth to her, I'll leave her at the hospital. So that day, I gave birth at around 4 a.m. in the morning. Then I said, oh, when the night is kind of light outside there, when the day is kind of light outside there, I'll leave. So when I was about to leave, Brooklyn cried. But you know, when I came back and took Brooklyn on my hands, and I realized that, Chris, Brooklyn was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life. And I was like, look at this thing, man.
Sometimes, you know, you realize that you're doing so much to your daughter. Did you get to talk about it with anybody?
No. And you know, Pastor Chris, at a certain point, I wanted to commit suicide. It was that bad. It was very, very bad.
How long ago is that?
Back in 2010.
Okay.
In June, I wanted to commit suicide because I was just tired. I was just tired of everything. But talking of the journey with Brooklyn, I came to learn that for you to get out of this, for you to let go, and letting the spirit of letting go and forgiveness flow in you, it starts with you. But so many times I've come to realize is who are the people you associate yourself with, who surrounds you. But all in all, bottom line is it must start with you. Because so many times, I also got tired of myself. I also sometimes will sit down and ask, Liz, how long are you going to live like this? For how long?
How have you grown yourself to where you are now that you can talk about it? Because you said at that time you didn't talk about it.
Yeah, at that time I didn't talk about it, Chris. But you know, life was now becoming more and more difficult because I'm just a teenager and a mother, and I really have to take care of things, you know. So one day a certain lady friend of mine told me, there is someone who is looking for an office girl who can make tea, clean the office in number 10 in Madare. I told her, okay, take me to her. I'll do the job. So when she took me to that lady to the office, it was locked. There was no one there. But Chris, I never gave up. I went to that office for 3 consecutive days until the day I got one Beatrice Karore. So Beatrice Karore gave me an employment. My work was to clean the office, receive visitors, make tea for visitors. Then one day she invited, Karore was a human rights activist. And the organization, the organization was called Wanawake Mashinani.
Okay.
So one day she took me to a forum. It was about human rights. Then, you know, when they were talking...
Because I'm aware.
That day was the beginning of this talking the way I'm seated here. That day, I realized that...
I'm aware that there is a lady in your life called Jackie.
Yeah.
Is that the platform you met her at?
No, that one is the platform I met Jackie.
All right.
After coming out. I met Jackie after coming out because Jackie was dealing... Jackie had founded a CBO called Grace Agenda.
Right.
And so many times Jackie would ask Beatrice Karole to mobilize for her women who underwent sexual gender-based violence during the post-election period because no one was talking about that.
And Jackie is here with us this morning.
Yeah.
We want to bring on Jackie. Oh my God. Sorry, I interrupted you taking tea.
Sorry. Hi, good morning.
Good morning, Jackie.
Yeah.
Welcome to Nisamehe.
Thank you. Thank you,
All right.
Pastor. Yeah.
Tell me a bit about your journey with Liz.
Okay, I met Liz in a forum. Right. And at that time, I had just started, I had also survived rape during the post-election violence. And then I realized that we met a few times after that. And then I realized that she was just not healing. And so the whole purpose was I decided to go and visit her at home. So when I visited her at home, we talked about it because many of us survivors had children from the rapes. Right. So I thought to myself, who is it that was dealing with the rapes? With women who have actually conceived from the rapes. And she would tell me, so-and-so is doing this, and even this child is from that period, even this child is from that period. Right. And I just started talking, and I realized that many of the children were very abused, very neglected, malnutritioned, diseased, many of them. And so I decided to start a forum in my house. Okay. When I started in my house, I decided let me start dealing with the children first, so that the children, my intention was to restore, sort of like rehabilitate the children from the abuse that they were getting. Right. So 5 sessions into our meetings, I realized that the children were still going back to the abusive environments that they were in. And so I decided the best way would, first of all, to be dealing with the mothers first, and by extension, if the mothers get healed, then by extension, they'll extend the healing to the children. So that's how it started. You were
also a victim?
Yes, a survivor.
A survivor.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, you're a survivor.
Yeah.
And you came out of it?
Yes.
How did you do that? How did you get to the place where you let go of whatever?
It took time.
It took time.
It took a lot of time. It took a lot of self-realization, self-searching, soul-searching, working with yourself, working within yourself, and then finally coming to the full realization that if you do not forgive or if you do not let it go, that other person has got control over your life.
All right.
Yeah.
And if there is anybody out there who has undergone the same and who needs help, anybody who connects to their story, talk to us at KTN Life_Style. That's Twitter and Instagram. And on Facebook, KTN Life and Style. On SMS, it's 22840. You can get in touch, and we will get some handouts for you that will help you. And also, we will connect you to these ladies over here so that you become a survivor, not a victim. Right.
Absolutely.
So you're dealing with a lot of issues with yourself. Did you find healing in helping other people?
Quite a bit. First of all, I realized I wasn't alone.
Okay.
And first of all, because of perhaps my age and maybe other life experiences, I'd also learned to walk a path of, can I say peace, or can I say self-realization? Can I say getting in touch with myself also and realize processing the pain? I think that's the best way I can say, processing the pain of what has happened to you and not having blame game. So maybe by virtue of my age, I just wanted to extend the same to the other women. Not that it would give me any particular satisfaction, but simply helping the other women also come out of the pain, because their pain, they were extending the pain to the children. Right. Okay, so what I didn't want to see was the children getting abused. Okay. So I decided to help the ladies first.
All right.
Yes.
So, Liz, you're here today. Mm-hmm. Have you finally gotten to the place where you let go, you're forgiving? Are you finally in the place where you have forgiven those who did that to you, and gotten to the place where you no longer look at your child from the experience?
Okay, thank you, Pastor Chris. I must say that I'm still trying my best, okay, because I cannot lie to you that the damage that I did on Brooklyn can be reversed just in 24 hours. That one is a lie. What I do is I have to try to be that bigger, better mom every day. Okay. Like as per now, Brooklyn is not with me. Okay. She schools in Busia in a boarding school. So it's still a journey. It's just like I have to play this role every day and every day. It doesn't have a destination.
All right. We're closing, and I want you to face this camera right over here and talk to the person at home who is going through what you went through, who's dealing with that pain, that bitterness. I want you to face that camera and just talk to them.
Not everything bad that happens in our life is there to ruin us or to bring us down. I really do believe that what you're going through right now is there to mold you, to make you a bigger, better person. And I really have to tell you that there is nothing good comes for free. Everything, you really have to work for it. And that forgiveness you also have to work for it. But the bottom line is, it starts with you. You really have to work it every day. And you really have to know that in life, it was not promised that we won't go through pain. Pain is there, but how does it leave you? Does it leave you better or worse? That is what I can say.
All right. You have heard her. She said it begins with you. You've got to come to the place of realization. As I said when we started, forgiveness is not easy. If you'd want to get in touch with either Liz or Jackie so that they can just help you through your journey, you get us on Twitter at KTN Life_style, on Facebook, KTN Life and Style. The hashtag is KTN Life and Style. SMS 22840. You could also follow me on Facebook. My page is Chris J. Atemo, and on Twitter at CJ Atemo, and we will get back to you.
This hair. But it's clearly bothering him because it's been 10 years, he still hasn't gotten used to it.